All right. Greetings to everybody. My name is Shu Amun. Um, I'm here with a brother and an honored guest. Um, this is my first time actually meeting him and greeting him in person, even though it's through video. So this is new for me, just like it will be new for everybody else. And I'd like to introduce brother Eric Asari. Am I saying that correct?
Yeah, that's my Eric Asarian is my social media name. That's or you could say that's my artist name because I'm a musician just as well. Um, Artist, hip hop artist.
Oh, forgive me, forgive me,
It's okay.
forgive me.
Um,
I'm looking on here and I see it. Himneta Asar.
yeah,
Himneta
Hemneta is
Asar.
my comedic name. Uh, well, my full name is Hemneta Asar Marie Ima'at Madu. Amen. So it's Asar who lives in the truth of Amen. Um, that's the whole name that I was received through my high priest at the time when he was before he transitioned some time ago, 3 years ago. The great Hemneta Tepi Harry Kafra, who was the chief priest of the Shrine of Amun Ra in New York some time ago, but he transitioned 3 years ago. Um, but he had made me a Hemneta priest. I've been with him for over maybe 20 something years studying with him. He also taught me, the Mantu arts, which was at the time it was Tai Chi Chuan. He was a master in that, made me a master in Tai Chi Chuan. I also studied with Grandmaster or Grand Maestri, who's still living, by the way, Master Joe Grande. He is a capoeira, uh, one of the, well, actually, he is the elder capoeira chief instructor for the Angola Capoeira Academy here in New York. So yeah, I have an extensive portfolio, but those are the two main ones that that are that I'm bringing forth to you today. Also, I studied also with Dr. Leonard Jeffries in City College. City College is my old alumni in New York. Um, I'm from New York, um, born and raised in New York, Bronx, New York. So most of my teachings definitely, here was like pretty much like the Mecca when it came down to I would say the golden age of the Kemetic consciousness community. Um,
Yes.
under under the chief instructor who is still around today. That's Chief Baba Haru. Um, he's a jeweler by trade. He makes all the Kemetic jewelry that you would like or love, or he can make it for you. You know, like just you could just tell him what you want, he'll make it for you, or you just buy the designs that he already has. He has numerous of designs. You can look that up on the studio of Ptah. Um, and yeah, so I know I said a mouthful, but uh,
Oh no, no. I'm learning and I'm sure everybody else is, man. I'm definitely open to hear more of what you have to say. Speaking of Baba Heru, I was just telling my son the other day I saw him breaking down the opening of the way, like he was
mm,
giving
mhm,
you step by step each meaning and what it symbolized. And I just found that to be really powerful because I explained to you, I've practiced many other practices. So it's a lot of things in there that resonated with me. And then along my journey, that I was able to recognize. And I said to myself, like, man, this is something, you know, we should be at least taking time to consider, being that it's not just a spiritual thing, it has to do with health, you know, identity, like condition, and that really is what I'm trying to structure here with this channel is, the identity, warrior identity, how one identifies himself, right? And the philosophy that may derive from that, because such questions like who am I, what am I, where do I come from, where do we come from, those things, what life is all about, that brings about philosophy. And of course, we as Africans, we've been doing that. I mean, do I got to count it? We've been doing that for thousands and thousands of years, right? And then the daily principles that go with it, and then the culture that arises from out of those things. So I'm definitely honored to know that you have that kind of background, because that says a lot of time, dedication, commitment, self discipline. And no, I really appreciate you sharing that.
Well, I thank you for having me here on the show, Amun. That that means a lot. Um, so we can just get right to the questions if you so choose to. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, what is the warrior identity to you, and how do you identify with it?
Um, it's interesting because when I first started out in the shrine of Amun Ra in Brooklyn, um, back in 1991, before we were able to actually be considered to go into the priesthood, we had to go through a Mantu art type of initiation. So he had us take the Tai Chi Chuan course along with Bagua and Wing Chun, mostly the Chinese art forms at the time, um, where he wanted to see basically our dedication. I don't know if you remember looking at the old kung fu movies where they had a lot of the novices or the lay persons in front of the Shaolin monk temple, and they had them out there for 3 days to see how their willpower is, before they
Mhm.
admitted into the temple. So I would have to say um, that practice still goes on today, especially in the initiating process of African spirituality, um, where especially in certain leper societies that they still have to this day in Africa, um, you have to have a strong sense of will, right? You just can't have anyone come into your temple without showing the proper discipline, the proper understanding, the proper uh, initial knowledge before you go into the temple, because you have to be of a certain standard. Um, as we know, the deity associated to martial arts is Mantu, right? That's why we call it the Mantu arts instead of the martial arts, um, because it gives us connection to the African understanding, because we have now uncovered that a lot of the martial arts, or the martial arts, I would have to say, came from Africa. You know, if you look in the temple of I think it's Beni Hassan, in ancient in Kemet, ancient Kemet, they have like glyphs of different type of martial arts forms where they were actually wrestling. You would see. I wish I had. If I was on my computer, I can share my screen and give you that, but I'm on my phone at the moment. So I guess there'll be other times where you'll have me back on, and
Oh yes, absolutely. If you would honor us, absolutely, yes.
yeah, I could show those images. But Beni Hassan is like a secluded area in I think in southern in southern Egypt. But it's secluded from everywhere else, all the other sites. It takes an hour to get there. Me myself wasn't able to get there. As my next trip around, I would be able to get there. Because when I went, they pretty much was closing a lot of sites. They do that from time to time, and they open sites and they close sites. And so when I went to Kemet, I went to 16 different sites. But besides that, like going back to the warrior spirit, um, in Beni Hassan, yeah, of course, they show all the different types of martial arts form, hand-to-hand combat. And you're talking about over 4,000 years ago, that predates Chinese martial arts, that predates even the Indian martial arts, because
Kalari Hayatu, yes, yes, yes.
it predates all of those. I mean, I've seen so many pictures of black monks, uh, uh, black monks along with the Chinese monks, the fairer skinned monks, fighting alongside with each other against at the time, I think it was the Mongols or what have you. There's a scene, and like I said, I'll show that on the next time. Um, but you would see the African image that was once, that the Chinese will admit that, if you ask them, that's only if you ask them, they would not tell you offhand, because they would tell you that it is our responsibility to bring that knowledge,
Yes.
and I didn't mention my Chinese grandmaster, which was Grandmaster Dao Yu, which was my teacher's master. He said to me, and I can never forget, he said, it is not up to me. He has a whole bunch of Egyptian things. When we went into his special room, he had a whole bunch of comedic images and stuff, and I was like, teacher, why you got this, and he said, it's not up this he said, it is not my concern to tell you exactly what this is. He said, you need to find out what it is.
Yes.
And that dawned on me, because it was like, he said, um I have the it based on his understanding. He only said that I have accountability for my people. You have to have an accountability for your people, because that is the only way you're going to lift them up. You get what I'm saying? So what it means is the warrior spirit. It's like connecting to your inner understanding, your inner discipline, your inner warriorhood, knowing that pretty much who you are, and just going in deep within yourself and know how much can you endure, not only physically but mentally. The one who endures is the one who is more successful. you know uh, the one who goes through things, the one who goes through turmoils and trials and tribulations is the most successful warrior, whether it's, you know, mentally or physically. And once you have learned from those experiences and move forward from those experiences, like not staying dormant in uh those bad experiences. And I don't like to say bad experience, because every experience is an experience, whether bad or good. It's whether you learn from it or not. And to me, the warrior within us helps us persevere, because we can pretty much endure about anything, you know.
Yes.
So you know, studying, you know, the different martial arts and stuff, you know, it helped me become how would I say, a better balancer um to things that are around me. You know, it helped me to be much more aware and alert and conscious of my surroundings. Uh, you know, not walking the streets, you know, haphazardly, or, you know, just going anywhere and anywhere. You know, you're constantly on alert. That is, to me, you know, spiritually alert. You know, spiritually conscious, spiritually aware of your surroundings. That is the warrior, the warriorhood that's within you, that helps you navigate through this world, this physical world that we live in. That's basically an illusion, you know, you know, for the time being. But while we're here in this dream state world, we have to navigate as much as possible. That's what the movie Matrix is about, because, you know, you've seen there was a lot of fighting going on, not only physically but mentally. You know, the first,
Yes.
you know, the first fight was getting out the Matrix, so you had to mentally unplug from the physical illusion first, right? And then once you unplug, whether you take the red or the blue pill, which I like to comparison with the Kundalini, which is blue and red, the snake serpent. So if you study, I studied yoga for a long time, you know, through my teacher, and he taught us how to raise the Kundalini, like, and raising the pretty much what we call the first eye or the third eye, right, which is the uchat. This is what they refer to as in the Kemetic prep in the Kemetic world. The uchat represents the first eye or the third eye, and once you're able to uh, make that stronger and build it up, you'll be able to see things that are beyond yourself. You know, after some time, once you develop the discipline to actually make it much more stronger and at will, like that third eye will start buzzing. Like, you know, that's the way my teacher had taught me. And it was like, when he taught me that, it was like, it was just, wow, it's just uncanny to me, because that's something that I never ever heard before. I never knew anything until I met him, you know, uh, almost 30 years ago. So,
Real quick, I wanna ask you based on that is real quick because this is not in there, but based on what you just said, is there a difference between that and the, let's say, the Eye of Ra, for example? Is there a difference between the two? And could you like
um,
just share?
really no difference, because there's technically in the Kemetic understanding, when you look at the Medu Neter, which is hieroglyphs, um, they mentioned the Uchat representing Ra's eye. So, but remember, there's two of them. You know, he has the left and the right eye. The left
Yes.
eye was given to I believe, Haru, and the right eye was given to Sekhmet. Okay.
Mm.
Um, you can correlate it as being the sun, as we see the physical sun, and the moon. Because if
Yes.
you think about it, those are the eyes. These are the eyes of God watching down upon us on the earth.
Yes.
And these are the only two physical things that we can see. So when when you're talking about when the Christians talk about Jesus Christ, the Son, they're really referring to unknowingly. They're really referring to the physical, because the Son is the giver of all life and creation. Nothing can survive without the Son. Nothing.
Mm.
No living thing can survive out of the sun. The earth, if you are on the earth, there's no living thing that can survive without the sun. So that sun represents that eye. You know? So there's no different. We call both eyes. We would call them merita. That's in the glyphs. Merita represents both eyes, the left and the right. You know? So, but when we mention the uchat, we're talking about the physical, the individual physical human awakening, where you are raising up your son within you.
Your consciousness, like your so
Consciousness,
basically this is you at your highest state of being and awareness. Is that fair to say?
absolutely. Your consciousness is the rising of the sun within you.
Mm.
There's a direct connection. As we see the sun physically, we must see that same sun within ourselves, you know, because we are universe. So, being that so, you know, we have to make that connection of the two, because they're one of the same. Like they say, as above, so below; as below, so above. You know,
Yes.
there's a constant connection, a constant flow and remix of who we are. And for those who want to tap into that, because it's not for everybody. Some people like to stay in the matrix. Some people want to stay the way they are. Some people like waiting at the long lines of McDonald's, waiting for a Happy Meal, getting that synthetic food, because that's all they can actually, you know, connect to. They don't know anything else, because uh, they're working at a lower vibration. So
Mm.
there's gross levels of vibrations and there's high levels of vibration. Um, so it just depends on where you are at on the spectrum.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So the next question is, what is a himnecha, and is there any connection between them having a warrior culture? Now, you pretty much already answered that, but please, if you don't mind expound on that.
Mhm. Um, the word hemneta, if you look at the glyph, it looks like a bat. It's like, or a club. So, and then it has the sign of the deity, or nTr glyph, but you can use it as the water sign. If I individualize the triliteral, excuse me, glyph, it's the water sign, which is, it has the ripple water sign glyph. It has the club. Uh, the water sign represents the N sound. You had the
Mm.
the bread loaf that represents the T sound, and you have the mouth. It looks just like if you see the space in the middle, it just looks like a mouth of some sort of bird or what have you, and that represents the R. So that's the N, the T, and the R, which is nTr. And nTr, right, as breaking down the word of the N consonant, because the hieroglyphs or the Medu Neter deals with consonants. They don't really emphasize on the vowels. So the only way we can correlate it and break down the hieroglyphs or the Medu Neter is by associating it or comparing it to neighboring tribes that were around that area, which were the one of them were the Coptics. That was Jean Champollion, who broke the code of the Rosetta Stone. He was able to break it by actually visiting Egypt in, was it in 1753, something like that, where he first broke the code of the Rosetta Stone. And the Rosetta Stone was broken down into 3 different forms. It was broken down into hieratic, demotic, and Greek. So hieratic and demotic hieratic is the descriptive aspect of Medu Neter or hieroglyphs, and the demotic is the ideograms, where you see the pictures of the different hieroglyphs, and it was written down in Greek. So John Champollion broke that down. But just explaining the glyphs, where nTr means the divine or God, and Hem means servant. So Hem Neter means servant of the divine. It means servant of God. In ancient Kemet, which we have the Sanctum Sanctorum, or the Holies of Holies, the only ones that were able to go into the Holies of Holies were the Hen Netters, or chief priests. And we have other, subordinates, which you have the Wab priests, you had the Sem priests, the Lector priests, and you had the Keri Heb. The Keri Heb was just right underneath the Hem Netter. In so many words, he was actually considered a Hem Netter too, but just at a lower form. But Hem Netter in itself, and you had the Wab priests. The Wab priests were the purification priests. So in order to become an Hem Netter, you had to go through the different stages of priesthood, which the Wab, Lector priest, or Sem priest, which some of them with the Lector priest or the Lector priest is the funerary priest. And the Sem priest can be considered as, they would say, probably Hem Netters or what have you. So that is the different tiers of the priesthood. But the Hem Netters are at the top. So, but they were the only ones that were able to go into the Holies of Holies. And how that connects to the warriorship is that we are spiritual warriors by nature. I know you heard of the elder Mfudishi Jehudi Mess.
Yes.
Who teaches the Mantu arts of Kubagani Ngumi, the African martial arts here. He emphasizes on that, and he has a book out called Spiritual Warriors or Healers. You can look that up just as well. And in that book, he breaks down pretty much everything about ancient Kemet. I don't know if I have the book here. See it, but he also made another book named Menchu Hotep.
Hotep, yes.
Menchu Hotep was a warrior priest in, I want to say, the 6th century BCE. And not only a warrior priest, he was a Nasut Bidi. Nasut Bidi means king. You know, for those who don't understand the Meadow nTr, it's just another word.
Of the two lands, right? Because he, at the time he came, if I'm not mistaken, I think I heard Baba share the story as far as him being a magi, being a magi,
I
right?
was getting ready to touch on that exactly. So the Magi warriorhood, of course, were a group of warriors that consisted of priests and just regular warriors that were going out there. Like, you can consider them as the Navy SEALs today, or the CIA or the FBI of today. You know, these were the protectors of the king and the protectors of the land. So, and Menchu Hotep was not only a warrior, but he was a priest as well, along with being a king. So that could tell you right there that, you know, the connection between servitude of the nTr divine, which is the spirit, which we break down in three parts, where we talk about the spirit, the spirit, mind, and body, the three components of self. Menchu Hotep had, you know, had broke down those correspondence and connected to all those three tiers of self, you know, where he studied in the priesthood, which is the divine spirit. The mental aspect of it was the kingship, and the physical was the Mantu arts that he studied as a Magi warrior. So there, the connection, when I first started out, where my teacher had us doing the martial arts first, working on our physical form first, and then once we tapped into that, then we get into the mental capability, and then after that we get into our spiritual aspect, because all three have to be strong in order for you to, you know, in order for you to have control over all three tiers about yourself. Some people are walking the earth just by being spiritual. You can hear me? I think you cut off a little bit.